Howdy folks, Doc here with Last Best Tool. And one of the things I find interesting, kind of being a connoisseur of tools, is that when a new generation of a tool comes out, you know, in this case, this is the Gen 1 M18 Rover light by Milwaukee, and this is the Gen 2, is that I get to kind of calibrate or authenticate my experience with it by looking at the design changes across the two different versions. And in this case, it was dead on. The things I had trouble with or didn't like about this or found concerning, most of those were addressed here. Like, of course, I thought, this logo is awfully small. Wouldn't it be nice to put a much larger logo on it? Hey, thanks, Milwaukee, you did it. Actually, that's a joke, but overall, this one I found a little wonky. And instead of being, you know, a go with me everywhere job site light, this actually ended up standing in kind of in the background, lighting up a backdrop for a video area. So that's where it lived. I did like the light, but it was a little off somehow, and I think it had to do more with the beam spread than the color. This one is 1,000 lumens brighter, or 33% brighter on max. It uses 36 individual LEDs here. This uses 12 LEDs, each with its own encapsulated reflector system, quite reminiscent of this little guy here, that I do like. But anyway, another thing, it ran hot, tons of vents here. This I always found odd. It had one button at the back that you had, or at the back end of the lighting part. So if it's down, it's like, how do you turn this thing off or on? Where's the switch? But anyway, oh, plus you often zap yourself. It's like, oh, you know, where is it? Oh, here it is, you know, and then bam. Whoa, ouch, can't see. But it has one button, kind of hidden, and this button always starts it on full blast, and then you have to cycle to medium, to low, and then to off. Whereas this guy here, they've now put the button in one location so it doesn't move around, and they've got an on-off, and then you can toggle through the modes, which allows it to have memory of the last setting, or on-off, you know, without having to cycle through, you know, all the settings to turn it off, which is always a pain. Another thing, this has always been kind of a weakness, I thought. There is a way you just plug an extension cord in. Notice this is a little loose. It's because it's been hit on things. This gets dirty, banged around. So obviously Milwaukee put a trap door on there, you know, with a strong spring, and, you know, same. Feels like the same build quality. This one's a lot looser because it's been hit, but that's important right there. Another thing you notice, I've got a M12 battery in here, and there is clearance for that M12, or excuse me, not M12, the M18 12 amp hour battery. It's their largest battery of the M18s. That fits in there just fine. With clearance, so you're not banging on the bottom of the battery. Put a M12 in this, or I mean a 12 amp hour M18 battery here, and this actually causes this to teeter-totter. It's not a real fair complaint, simply because the M18 12 amp hour battery, or the HD12, didn't exist when this was first released. So you're kind of tapped out with a 9 as far as the largest battery that this can take without it's sitting on top of the battery. Another thing, a big thing, has to do with the design of the handles. This obviously has taken one handle across the back rather than two on the side. Now, what do you get out of that? First of all, you can hang it quite easily, and that's huge. You can pick it up centered. In fact, you can pick it up and keep the light on what you're doing. You grab this one and it falls to the side, which is also a little harder to place it, because you have to drop it down on one side and then let it kind of center itself. So it's a little bit tougher. And then, of course, this gives this design with the light sticking out the front versus completely encased inside this frame allows something that I think was noticed by others. But a lot of times I'm working on appliances. Let's say I have a dishwasher. I'm trying to work under it rather than pull it out from the cabinetry, and I want to be able to drop a light all the way down on the ground, just like that. You can see, you know, that this is hugging the ground right here. This one I can't get down low. I can get close, but you know, you might think, well, that's close enough. No, it actually isn't, because this height here is about maybe a third of all the working height that I have, and I've lost it. So it's actually spending, you know, a large portion of this light blasting into the side of the appliance I'm working on. So I would often go to something else. I ran into the same problem here with this guy. I just couldn't get it quite positioned right. So I really like it with something like that, where I can drop it all the way down, flush to the ground, or even point it down just a little bit. That's kind of a big thing. But I can also angle this, even though this only has about 120 degrees rotation, whereas this one here has like 240, so this is half. Here's straight up and down, all the way to pointing down. I can just flip it around and recover the rest of my usable circle of light. So that's a big deal too. Price-wise, they're about the same as new. Weight, they're almost identical. They're just, this one's way more efficient. It's got more lumens. It's got a longer run time. I think it's got a much better design. And a lot of the things that I noticed here, which is why it also never went in the backcountry with me. I didn't throw it in the truck as a area light. Maybe I did once when I first got it, and it wasn't the best thing. I was also worried, you know, a lot of access for water and stuff right in through the top of this thing. I would often take this, but you set this on the hood of a car or hood of a truck, and it's not quite the best light. It's always hard to just get it aligned right, but still, whoops, and that, just touch it. But anyway, this is a big upgrade, and it addressed a lot of the things. The one that didn't address is there are all kinds of cracks and crevices and little places that you can pack with dust and dirt and drywall. And as you can see, you know, I can't really clean it out near as well as I'd like to be able to. Not a big deal. And then finally, this does have a cover, I mean a kind of a bezel around here, and a plastic cover here. I have scratched this. I don't know if that's showing up. I've scratched it. I've, you know, dropped it, dented it. This one is more contained. What I'm thinking is maybe an easy replaceable cover. Maybe it should come with two or something. And that includes here. I see the screws, so maybe something like that is possible. But this does get hit a lot more because, as you can see, the way it sticks out. But that, I'd rather have that than have it encased and not be able to place the light exactly where I want. Anyway, if you've got experience with either these M18 Rover lights or others where there's a new generation and essentially it validated your experiences, let me know. I'm curious about that, because that's a kind of a way of learning if you're on target with your thoughts, or if something's off. If they got rid of a feature you absolutely loved, well, was it a feature really? Or in this case, it's not just an upgrade of the LEDs, it's literally a significant redesign, and it addresses so many of the things that I ran into a problem with this. So good on Milwaukee, and I guess I feel vindicated. I'm on the right track. If the same thing that needed to be updated from here to here, I wasn't the only one to notice, and my use was or I wasn't alone in my use. Anyway, let me know your thoughts. And with that, Doc out.